during the briefings, as we talk about the specific cases of the crimes of the Kiev regime, we are only doing so to confirm the political statements that we make. Naturally, these are not all the crimes. The list is not exhaustive. But we do carry out this work on a daily basis, and we inform the international community and our public about this work. Coming back to the specific facts, on the night of February 6th, Belgorod again came under fire using American HIMARS MLRS. Thankfully, there were no casualties. Unfortunately, in the following days from the 7th to the 10th of February, missile strikes on the regional center, as well as UAV attacks on residential buildings in other settlements of the Belgorod region, led to the death of 1 and injury of 17 people. Bryansk region. From the 4th to the 7th of February, the armed forces of Ukraine launched several combined strikes on civilian objects in the region using HIMARS MLRS, long-range Neptune missiles, and jet-type drones. 5 people were wounded. There was destruction in the residential sector, and, most horrifyingly, they carry out strikes deliberately against the civilian population, against the social infrastructure, and then make a second strike on the rescue and relief facilities, those who are supposed to help the injured and the wounded. There was destruction in the residential and medical institutions. Administrative buildings and the church were damaged. On the 8th to the 9th of February, Banderites attacked the territory of an agro-industrial enterprise in the village of Krapivna and residential buildings in a number of settlements in the Bryansk region with drones. 3 people were injured. The Zaporozhye region, on February 6th to 7th, due to Ukrainian UAV attacks, 3 people were injured, 1 of them died. On February 10th, the AFU attacked a funeral procession in the village of Skelki, Vasilievsky municipal district. As a result of the attack, the rector of the local Assumption Church, Father Sergei Klyakin, died, and 6 other people received shrapnel wounds of varying severity. Kursk region, on February 7th, as a result of a fire caused by the fall of an AFU drone on the territory of a private house in the village of Verkhny Lyubash, a man died and 3 people were injured, including a 13-year-old girl. On February 10th, following AFU drone strikes on cars in the area of the village of Yemkovo and the village of Krasny Polyana, 3 civilians, including a 16-year-old teenager, were injured. The Lugansk People's Republic, on February 3rd, a young woman and a young man were killed by a Ukrainian drone attack on a minibus near the village of Novokrasnyanka, and on February 5th, as a result of a UAV strike on an apartment building in the city of Rovenki, a family of 5 people was injured, including children aged 5 months, 3 and 7 years. Rostov region, on February 5th, a civilian was injured in the city of Bataysk due to falling debris from a downed AFU drone. Kherson region, on February 3rd, as a result of artillery shelling by the AFU of a crowded place near shops and a multifunctional center in the city of Novaya Kakhovka, 3 civilians were killed and several people were injured. On February 5th to 8th, 12 people, mostly elderly, suffered from the enemy shelling and drone attacks in the cities of Alyoshki, Kakhovka and Golye Pristyn, as well as on the road between the villages of Male Kakhovka and Tavriske. On February 10th, as a result of a deliberate attack by a Ukrainian UAV in the village of Velikaya Lepeticha, 2 girls aged 9 and 10 received multiple shrapnel wounds. What is their fault? What is their crime for which they were supposedly punished by the AFU? The crime was just playing outside on the street. A surviving resident of the city of Seversk in the DPR shared with the media heartbreaking evidence of crimes by the AFU, who killed all her relatives and numerous citizens. Her younger brother and other unarmed young men were shot by the neo-Banderites under the pretext of refusing to join them. On February 6th, in Moscow. You are aware of that. This was reported by the media and our law enforcers. An assassination attempt was made on Lieutenant General Vladimir Stepanovich Alexeyev, first deputy head of the main directorate of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of the Russian Federation, who headed our country's delegation at the trilateral peace talks in Abu Dhabi. It is noteworthy that the day before, Zelensky in his TV address announced the coordination, this is a quote, of new such operations on our territory with the recently appointed head of the SBU, Evgeny Khmara, who recently got his hand in committing such attacks in Russia. This terrorist attack once again confirmed the focus of the Zelensky regime on constant provocations aimed at disrupting the negotiation process on the settlement, which was supposedly meant to end the conflict and settle it. Apparently, Kiev is ready to do anything to try to prevent the achievement of a just peace. But they will be punished in a fair and legal manner. Russian law enforcement agencies continue to bring Ukrainian criminals, their accomplices and foreign mercenaries to criminal responsibility. The investigative committee identified a few UAV operators, Andrei Tsit and Sergei Zenich, who committed terrorist attacks using drones on August 2nd and October 30th, 2025 in the village of Kruglia Polyana and the village of Gudovka, Bryansk region, as a result of which 2 people were injured, one of them died. Law enforcement agencies are taking measures to locate the criminals. Criminal cases have been initiated against a few militants, Vasily Ivanitsky and Anton Zaitsev, who carried out terrorist activities in the Kursk region in 2025 and were previously captured by Russian servicemen. The guilt of another Ukraine Nazi, Alexander Sechegov, in similar cases has been confirmed. Spanish mercenary Arobo Mordillo Alberto, who participated in hostilities as part of the AFU, was sentenced in absentia to 14 years in prison. He has been put on the international wanted list. Also, I would like to say that they have modern and historical sources of support. The AFU and the Kiev regime are not just doing something similar to what had been committed by their new so-called heroes, Bandera, Shukhevich, and those to whom they pledged their allegiance. We are talking about the direct historical links, direct historical connotations taking root in the crimes of World War II. 83 years ago, on February 9, 1943, in the village of Porosle, first Rovno region of the Ukrainian SSR, Ukrainian banderites committed the first mass murder of peaceful Poles. 100 of cutthroats, under the command of Bandera's fellow villager, Perignac, hacked 173 civilians to death with axes. This monstrous, inhumanly cruel, bloody crime marked the beginning of the further mass extermination of the Polish population throughout Volyn, which followed 5 months later and went down in history as the Volyn massacre, at the hands of Ukrainian collaborators, supported by the German Nazis since pre-war times. Ukrainians themselves, fellow villagers of Poles, Russians, Belarusians, Jews, and representatives of many other nationalities also died. Just like then, modern Ukraine Nazis have already repeatedly demonstrated their kinship with the banderites of the past, committing no less and often more cruel crimes against Russian and Ukrainian civilians with the complicity of foreign mercenaries and Western sponsors. The listed facts confirm the relevance of the tasks of denazification and demilitarization of Ukraine and the elimination of threats emanating from its territory. All these goals will definitely be achieved, as stated on numerous occasions by the Russian authorities. And now look at their back vocals, so to speak, a choir of those who provide them with financial, military, political and other types of support. Kaja Kallas, as an EU diplomat, stated that they were making their own lists of demands for Russia to settle the crisis in Ukraine, as she said. neither Callas nor von der Leyen, nor their predecessors that they work with, none of them in Western Europe and none in NATO have ever seen or witnessed any of the terrorist attacks that I've been talking about. They turn a blind eye to all the terrorist attacks that we talk about, that our law enforcers and the victims and the witnesses are talking